Welcome back to MomsWork Podcast. I'm Kristin Weinrich, mom of two, fourth grade teacher, and by the time this episode airs, I'll be a fourth grade teacher starting to think about going back to school. Today, we are diving into a conversation that every mother deserves to hear, but one that's often missing from traditional postpartum care. My guest today is Brittany Monday Harris, a board certified adult gerontology I hope I said that right. Gerontology acute care nurse practitioner. Woo! Stumbled
Hi,
over that one. She's also a wife and mother of five. Brittany, so glad to have you here today.
thank you for having me.
With more than 17 years of nursing experience and firsthand experience navigating motherhood herself, she has become passionate about helping women understand why so many continue to experience exhaustion, anxiety, brain fog, hormone changes, weight retention, and burnout long after giving birth. It's like having children is the gift that keeps on giving. In this episode, we are exploring what happens after the baby arrives, from nutrient depletion and hormonal changes to thyroid health, stress, metabolism, and why recovery is about so much more than just the 6 week checkup. Brittany, I'm so glad to have you. Can you start us off by introducing us? Tell us whatever you want about your career, your family, your kids, your life outside of work, anything you'd like us to know.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
I'm a mom of five kids. We have three boys, two girls. We had a surprise set of twins at the end. So that's how we got to the big number five. Ironically enough, I have a half sister. So I really didn't grow up with a lot of siblings. So I think it's so fun that in my family, my kids are going to have a lot siblings, which will
You've
be
got
fun.
a pack.
We do.
Love
We
a
always
pack.
say, here's our basketball team. So my husband being 6'7", and I'm not terribly small myself. So
Oh,
hopefully we will maybe
there you go. Maybe you
be a
will have a
basketball
little
team.
little something.
Yeah.
And
My
you know what's
career,
surprising? I'm sorry to interrupt you. You are like the third or fourth guest I have had with five children, which feels very
really,
uncommon these days.
yes.
But yeah, yeah, I've at least two or three have had five. So
Well,
anyway,
when I take them out in public, we get looks and people said, "These are all yours? You're not the nanny?" I'm like, "No, they're
all
all
mine,
mine."
all mine.
All mine. Like you go to the grocery store, you have to find the store that has the two-seater carts.
Yeah.
The twins both need to sit, or you have to wear one and put one in the grocery cart, little things like
And
that.
then keep track of the three other ones.
Oh, that's true. They tend
Good for you.
to they tend to climb around and they're good.
You're like, that's fine. They're safe. I'm sorry.
They
You
are.
continue. I will stop talking.
Oh no, more. I became a nurse right out of college. I first thought I wanted to go into design and merchandising,
Hmm.
so I actually started at Drexel University, switched over to Harcombe College, and got my associate's degree. Started working at Hahnemann in heart failure and
Okay.
found a passion for managing patients with chronic disease. Thought that that was my trajectory for a long time. Did outpatient heart failure management, mechanical heart pumps, all of that stuff at Hahnemann Jefferson. Got to Penn as an NP and said, I really love this, but what I love more is palliative and hospice. So then I learned,
You really picked the good ones.
yes, no,
Heart failure and
absolutely.
death. Okay.
Uh, I've had a lot of death in our family. And
Yep.
so for me, I think I've been able to excel with teaching others how to manage it and
Mm.
navigate it.
And it's
So
a
that's
special
been,
person that does it. So,
it does.
good. Thank you for being that person for so many people.
Always. And I still do that as well. It's more in like a smaller role.
Okay.
But then as I kept thinking about it and motherhood kept evolving, I kept searching for more questions of what is going on with me after going through four pregnancies.
Hmm.
And I really stumbled into talking more about moms in the postpartum phase, learning more about micronutrient deficiencies, and wanting to educate and kind of move past just the conventional medicine that I learn and manage and deal with on a daily basis, and talk a little
Yeah.
bit more about other ideas and supplements and micronutrients and how can we meld them both together.
And it's so interesting because, I mean, you have this baby and it's just the way the system works, but you're like, nobody wants to see me for a month and a half.
I
And
know.
nobody, I'm good for a month and a
You're,
half. And
yeah,
all these
you're
things are
lucky if you get,
happening.
yeah, you're lucky if you get the 2 week visit just because you have like a blood pressure check. I had a
Right.
preeclampsia with a few of them. And so I got the blood pressure check, but it was a 15-minute, your blood pressure is good, see you, not
Hmm.
anything about how you're doing or anything else. And then that 6 week comes if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Sometimes in middle America, they may not have enough providers that can see you at the 6 week visit. You just call and do a quick over the phone conversation.
Yeah, and especially when you're a new mom, like I feel like
Mhm.
after the first one, you're kind of like, okay, you kind of know the feelings and the symptoms and whatever. But as a new mom, there could be something happening to you that you don't realize is dangerous or really serious, and you just think, oh, this
Absolutely.
is how it is, and yikes. And I do think it's great that it feels like we're talking about postpartum depression and mother's mental health so much more. But I think this part, and I'm interested to talk to you today because I think this part of it is kind of a mystery. I mean, I had my last baby 7 years ago, and I don't think, and no fault, you will hear me say over and over and over again on this podcast, I bow down to my OBGYN. I love her. I adore her. Every time I see her, I hug her. Like she is wonderful, and it's just the system, but like it's amazing that even 7 years ago, it was like, how you doing? How you feeling? How's this? And what you're going to talk about today is something that I hope becomes routine
Oh,
in postpartum.
absolutely.
So
And where providers will be bringing this up and we can learn about this and really educate everybody as a whole would be
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, you think about, you always joke like in the 1800s, like no wonder so many people were lost to childbirth. Or, you know what I mean? There are
Yes.
so many things that happen to you before and after and during, and it's a miracle when those babies come out and that everybody kind of makes it through. So
Yes,
it's crazy.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
how has being a mom of five, including a set of twins, changed your perspective on healthcare?
That's a good question. I think I was always under the impression that these symptoms of really extreme fatigue or
Mm,
brain fog, or you have your mom brain,
hmm
the shortness of breath after activity was just me being out of shape from not working out as much, or carrying too much weight after baby.
hmm
And I'm coming to realize those symptoms should not be considered normal. They are not
Oh,
normal, and all of
okay.
those symptoms, hair loss, hair thinning, hair shedding, that all comes from micronutrients being deficient and us
Oh,
going
interesting.
through postpartum depletion syndrome.
Okay, that's really interesting. And I guess you got to experience it four different times, four different ways with four pregnancies, right? You had
Quite extensive with the twins at the end, because having two placentas come out, and those are what the placenta pulls out all the micronutrients.
interesting. They
And
suck
a
you
lot,
dry, literally, right?
I had two placentas that was taken out, and I was like, I really need to figure out something. And that's really when I
Yeah,
started diving in the most, because I felt the absolute worst after that postpartum period,
I bet. I
or
bet.
like immediately after.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. And what did you notice was missing in the way that we care for mothers after birth? And maybe it was through your own experience or talking to friends or whatever. What kind of was your big red flag?
I think the big red flag is convincing that in general, we've all just accepted that having these symptoms is okay. And this is
Mhm.
just how we live for the next multiple decades to come of our life. And in
Yeah.
reality, it really shouldn't be that way. So for me, I think that was the most surprising. All my friends would come to me and say, I'm so tired. Oh, me too. Oh, me too. It's because my infant isn't sleeping. Well, that makes sense.
Right.
But shouldn't there be more to understand? Is there other things going on? And it was just disheartening that the providers say, yeah, you lose hair from 4 to 6 months, but it should grow back. But instead of it should
And you're
grow
like, and
back,
that's that.
can we grow it? How can we maybe prevent it from even falling out, or
Right.
from shedding?
And is this one of those things like you don't know until you don't know what you don't know? Like, is it new-ish? Like we did just take for granted that this is kind of what happened, and then all of a sudden new research was done, or like how are we coming in? Because like I said, this is sort of news to me,
Oh
and I
yeah.
have a 7-year-old. So, you know,
I really think it just hasn't been talked about. I think that the idea of what postpartum depletion syndrome is not an actual registered diagnosis.
okay.
It's the idea of multiple things and figuring out the root cause of symptoms that kind of combine together.
Okay.
And so, to your point, yes, I think it's newish because we've now had this shift in healthcare where there's also wellness involved, and
Hmm
it's more looking at the wellness side and looking at things that can be preventative medicine and how much that can be very helpful. I mean, I will never take for granted the conventional medicine education that I have. I mean, I
Right, for
have still
sure.
working in it. it literally saves lives. It
Hmm.
has, without a doubt, brought me to this place, but I really love the idea of the new space where you can also add in wellness and preventative medicine before you get to the disease symptoms.
And it's like the whole person that it should be, the preventive, the reactive, the proactive, the,
Yep,
whatever it is to care for the entire person. So,
absolutely.
um, and I think, like you were saying, a lot of moms just assume that, oh, I know what I was going to say. Would you say that this depletion is almost like a buffet? Like everybody, there's an array of food or
Yes.
symptoms that you can have, and everybody kind of just randomly ends up with this one and this one and this one. So there's a lot of different underlying causes and whatever.
Yeah, not one pregnancy is the same, not
Mhm.
one postpartum is the same, not one going into perimenopause is the same, and then menopause journey. They come at different times, they come with different symptoms. So, yes, to your point, I think everything is different for every mom, but they all have a general idea that
Mm,
we know that when the placenta is delivered, micronutrients are pulled out. If mom is a breastfeeding mom, she also is losing micronutrients that
right,
way as well.
right.
And so, where can we help support mom after we do a thorough lab investigation through lab work to manage the root cause of those symptoms based off of the labs that are presented?
Okay, and then kind of pinpoint what every person needs.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
It's all based off of lab work. You have to get labs to be able to drive this the farthest
Okay, makes
and be able
sense.
to manage the symptoms
Find out
without
what
a
you're
doubt.
missing.
And that's
Yeah.
where the conventional medicine comes in. Like those labs are so important. Reference ranges on these lab work won't show that you have all of these low magnesium, low zinc, low vitamin D, because the reference range is what keeps you alive. But
Okay.
what optimal ranges that we know in the postpartum depletion syndrome world, that if your levels are below a certain optimal or above a certain
Hmm.
optimal, it is going to affect you. It is going to
Okay.
cause the rage, the irritability, the anxiousness, the intrusive thoughts, all of those
So
things.
you could be quote unquote in the normal range and still be suffering because
Yes,
you're too low or too high or whatever it is.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. They just
Uh,
have to be interpreted correctly.
that's really interesting. I mean, and it makes sense, I guess, when the placenta comes out, like, of course, everything's going to deplete. Like
Course.
it's
It was
coming
a
out.
beautiful thing that we created a
You just made a
actual new
human.
organ.
So, yes.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
have an organ, we have a human, the human's out, the organ's out.
Right.
We're left with a really big hole,
Right.
and a
One
lot
more
of
time, sucked
micronutrients are
dry.
gone.
Yeah, we've
Yes,
been sucked dry.
exactly. Exactly.
And you were saying, that many moms assume just feeling exhausted is part of motherhood. And while yes,
Yes.
I'm 7 years, 8, 9.5 years in, I'm still tired, but I feel like,
Yes.
maybe there are again ranges. And so yes, probably everybody's going to be tired, but it doesn't have to be maybe what some people are feeling. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, I think in general, we've talked about what depletion syndrome, like postpartum depletion syndrome is, how it is affected by the placenta being delivered. Then what comes of that after everything is gone is this extreme fatigue, this extreme irritability, rage, all of these things. But when we look at this, we have to look at, sure, a lot of providers will check for iron levels, but are we
Okay.
looking at the iron stores in general? So your iron could be adequate, but is your ferritin level that isn't frequently drawn, that tells us how much your body is absorbing the iron, is that within an optimal range? And
Oh,
if that is
okay.
really low, that is going to cause similar symptoms to a low hemoglobin and a low iron, even if those other two labs are normal, quote normal.
Going off, quote unquote, the script here, a
Oh,
person
yeah.
who is years past, could they still benefit from this information? Like, is there still work to be done, even if your youngest child is 15 years old? Like, could your body still be in need and could solve some
Absolutely.
of your prop, not problems, issues or whatever it is that you're having?
Yeah, so a lot of times we normally would say that postpartum is up till 10 years after
Okay.
delivery.
Which is
So
crazy. Isn't that
that's wild,
crazy?
right?
10 years.
But it goes to show, I mean, a lot of some of the foods that we have nowadays aren't maybe as quite as nutrient rich as they once were.
Hmm.
So we're not getting in a lot of the nutrient foods. So
Okay.
all of these micronutrients that are causing the cascade effect of these symptoms, we
Hmm.
can take in through food. But as we
Okay.
slowly take them in, it takes a while to build it up. So that's why
Right.
supplementation is sometimes helpful in the immediate phase, and why
Okay.
lab work is recommended.
Okay.
And that's why from that point forward, you kind of look at how 15 years postpartum probably have
Might be a
made
little, a
it's
little
a
much.
little long,
Okay.
but it doesn't mean that during the first year of postpartum, you go through 4 hormone shifts.
Oh, wow.
Then, let's say
Okay.
you go through more children, you're going to go through 4 more hormone shifts with another
Hmm.
child. Then you
Hmm.
have one more child, 4 more hormone shifts. And then here you are heading into perimenopause, still depleted.
Right.
So if you're scraping from the bottom of the barrel without having repleted a lot of these micronutrients, it's a cascade effect to causing more issues for thyroid dysregulation, which
Okay.
then affects your metabolism and your energy and your mood. It goes into cortisol dysregulation and managing our energy, our sleep cycles. A lot of
Okay.
moms in perimenopause will start to talk about how their sleep becomes more disrupted, and
Hmm.
it can come from a dysregulated cortisol. And all of this is a cascade effect from our micronutrients not being
Wow.
improved from the very beginning.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah,
This is good that we're getting this out there so people
we are.
know, and it's
Absolutely. I did not sadly I didn't know about it for my other 3 pregnancies, and thankfully I
yeah,
have found out for this one, and it was the hardest postpartum period,
I'm
but then
sure.
the most rewarding coming out of it and seeing this all works.
And what
I
did
had to
you
be my own guinea pig.
what did you say? You were your own
I was
guinea
my own
pig.
guinea pig because I was the biggest skeptic. And
And
then
what
I
did you change? Like, did you start taking supplements or eating certain things, or how did you, I might be jumping ahead here, but like what was different about your recovery with the twins?
So I got lab work done, and it's
Okay.
very extensive lab work. We're going to
Okay.
get a CBC with differential. So that's the complete blood count where you see hemoglobin, hematocrit. We look at gut function in that lab
Okay.
work as well. Then we also look at liver function and kidney function and electrolytes.
Okay.
Then we look at the 6 vital micronutrients. We look at B12, folate, which is also known as B9. We look at ferritin, vitamin D, magnesium, and I looked at my zinc levels. Those are the 6 vital micronutrients because when those are out of line, it highly affects the thyroid as well.
Interesting. And
And then,
is that a blood test that uh, just practically speaking, insurance companies are willing to do if you speak to a doctor about it? Like, is this just kind of getting into the
I
like nuts
know.
and bolts of it?
No, it's a good question. A lot of times insurance will do it if you can find the correct, ICD-10 code. So you basically
Okay.
need to find the right way to bill it.
Okay.
But because postpartum depletion syndrome doesn't fall into an ICD-10 code, you can't
Mhm.
use that as the reasoning. You have
Okay.
to use like extreme fatigue for the vitamin D
Oh, I see.
level.
Okay.
A CBC and a CMP are both very manageable to get through ICD-10 codes,
Okay.
but sometimes providers, even if covered by insurance, don't feel comfortable ordering it because they don't know the correct way to interpret.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
that's where the issue lies because then they're like, well, I don't know really what I'm looking for, so why would I order that?
And just because they don't have the education on it because it's
Exactly.
not out there in the world yet. You're going to
Yep.
change that. Okay.
Oh, I am very excited.
Okay, and I feel like I have interrupted and taken us in a million directions here.
Okay.
So I don't know if there was a thought you had that I stopped that you can remember, but I know we were talking about nutrients and people feeling exhausted, yes, is part of it, but maybe not to the extreme that somebody's feeling, and it kind of starts with the nutrients and then goes from there. Does that
Yeah.
sum that
Yeah.
part up
Yeah,
well?
exactly. Your micronutrients need to replenish. The micronutrients fall into also when our micronutrients are dysregulated, our sex hormones are dysregulated. That's
Okay.
estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. When those are dysregulated, our mood is
Mm.
disbalanced. So we have anxiety, irritability, depression, intrusive thoughts, loss of motivation.
Hmm.
And so if we can correct the vitamin D and zinc that really balance those sex hormones, that can really help to manage one's personality too in the postpartum phase when we feel all those thoughts.
So it's almost like they were there with like, the powers that be are there with the postpartum depression, but again, maybe don't realize that it's this vitamin rather than,
Yeah, that
whatever it is.
supplements, when we replenish our micronutrients, they're the spark plugs to get everything moving.
Hmm.
So if you think about in the car analogy, if you don't have that spark, you're not going to be able to turn over that engine. You're not going to be able to get going. So
Right.
if you're lacking on those micronutrients that keep everything ignited, then
Hmm.
you're not going to be able to move forward. So conventional medicine will be adding in certain prescriptions. I mean, there is a place and a time for any type of antidepressants, any type of
Right.
anti-anxiety medications. There's absolutely, I would never say not to take them if
Yeah.
that is something that you and your provider think is warranted.
Yeah.
However, there are places where if you manage the root cause and
Yeah.
manage the low vitamin D, the low zinc, the low magnesium, then we can see where those symptoms of loss of motivation and anxiousness and depression will actually come out. And you will come above that and realize a lot of moms could come off of those medications. So
Ah,
sometimes you have to work together where you have a prescription and a supplement working well for a
okay.
couple of months.
Okay. Huh. I feel like I'm learning so much right now. Okay. And you had sort of an analogy for that as your body being a savings account.
Oh, yes.
Would you
Yeah.
like to
So
give us that?
yeah, so really, I mean, a big part of this is your body's a savings account. You have a pregnancy that's the immediate withdrawal. It's a withdrawal for 9 months, 10 months,
So
honestly.
withdrawal for the rest of your life.
Right. I mean, yes,
At least
exactly.
18 years. Yeah.
Every single day it is going to draw from you. That
Mm,
is why it's also really important to have really adequate prenatals when you're
mm,
leading into this, or even before getting pregnant, getting lab work done to see how everything is looking and micronutrients are looking, so that we can then move into an easier conception potentially, or
right.
an easier pregnancy because of that withdrawal.
Okay.
Then after the baby comes, that's a major withdrawal, of course. Then
Yeah.
the placenta is delivered, another huge withdrawal from your bank account and your savings account. And then you're breastfeeding. If you're a breastfeeding mom, that's a daily withdrawal as
Right.
well for
Right.
whatever amount of time that you breastfeed for. If it's 2 weeks or if it's 2 years, it's still withdrawal during that entire time.
Mm-hmm. So you're just
So,
pulling away, pulling away, pulling away.
yeah.
You gotta
Well,
gotta make a deposit once in a while, right?
exactly. And how can you make a deposit if you have nothing left and everything's pulling out?
Right. Or
And
you
then you
don't know
look
what
at
you need to drop in.
exactly. And you look at Instagram and you think, or you look at social media, or you look just generally to the right at your friends and you
Hmm.
think, well, that mom bounced back really
Hmm.
well. And
Hmm.
I'm supposed to be able to fit into my clothes potentially in, let's say, 4 months, or I'm supposed to lose all my weight if I am a breastfeeding mom within an X amount of time, because
Right.
breastfeeding you lose weight with that. But that's really like contrary to like popular belief, it's not true. Plus,
Yeah.
bounce back is a terrible analogy. That
Yeah.
uh, it's moving on, right? We're like moving into our next version of
Yeah,
ourselves.
the bounce back. I'm like,
Um,
because I think no matter how you end up, quote unquote, after your baby's born, you're never exactly the same. I mean, how could you be?
Never.
How could you be? I
Oh,
had a 9 pound child inside my belly. Like, how, you know what
yes.
I mean? And, of course, now my kids are like, are you having another baby? I'm like, no, this
No,
is where
no.
you were stretching me out for any. My son's like, oh, I'm like, remember you, the 9 pounds? He's like, oh, yeah,
Oh,
sorry. I'm
yeah.
like,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
thank
That's
you.
our
Thank
mom. I
you.
know.
Thank you for
Yeah.
pointing it out. But yeah, I mean, I think no matter what, even if a person goes back to wearing the same size jeans or whatever, everything kind of gets moved and shifted and just a little funky. So yeah, bounce back.
Yes.
I don't
No.
appreciate that.
And you just want to start putting more deposits back in. So
Hmm.
you start from the beginning, getting root cause lab work that is the micronutrients, the gut health, liver function, blood sugar balance, because
Mm,
we have a lot of insulin resistance and or blood sugar disbalance that is caused by cortisol dysregulation.
okay.
Cortisol dysregulation comes from moms who aren't sleeping, who are then so depleted because they've been withdrawn from for so many months since
Yeah.
delivery,
Can they
and
check
that's not a
cortisol
very
with
good
a blood
benefit.
test too? They can.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Ideally, you would get the cortisol in the morning. So you would get your lab work done in the morning. But
Okay.
because we want to check blood sugar, fasting insulin, fasting glucose, and hemoglobin A1C, that is what the calculation you use to figure out insulin resistance, which is a
Okay.
trigger word that we've been hearing a lot in social media as well, that you want to get fasting labs done. So
Okay.
ideally, get this between 6 and 9 a.m. So you have a good
Okay.
cortisol level assessment and also fasting labs.
That's so funny. I had a physical a couple weeks ago and I went back today at 7:15 because they were just drawing my blood to do
Yeah.
routine things. Maybe I'll send a message to my doctor and be like, by the way, can you also check?
Yes, add
Because
in.
wonder if I
A
could.
lot
Well,
of that can.
we'll talk after this. And I'll be like, what should I be asking for? But yeah, I was like,
Absolutely.
I haven't eaten. And yes, anyway. And a lot of moms, so after we kind of get there, and you are being depleted from all ends when you have a baby and after you have a baby. And tired does seem to be the stereotypical number one thing that people say. Um, and then you kind of move into I just don't feel like myself. And what would you say are the symptoms that most moms are saying doesn't feel like them?
Yeah, that's a huge one. I
Mhm.
think a lot of moms come and they talk to me, or my friends' moms, or like the sisters of my friends will say, I I have this unexplained rage and
Mm, mm,
irritability
mm,
towards
mhm.
my partner or towards my toddler with the newborn now, and I feel so guilty about it. I don't even know why this is happening. The fatigue is a big one. I think hair loss and hair thinning is another one.
Okay.
Metabolism in regards to most likely the inability or the struggle to lose weight,
Yeah.
feeling like you still have a lot of weight in the midsection post delivery. I think that a lot of moms also come with loss of motivation, intrusive thoughts.
Hmm.
Like I woke up in the middle of the night and I can't get back to sleep. I'm awake from 2 to 4 a.m. every day. Why
Hmm.
is this?
Hmm.
That my baby's sleeping, my husband's sleeping, my toddler's sleeping, the dog's asleep. Nothing's happening, but I am wide-eyed and bushy tail. What's going on?
Right. And then I feel like that kind of creates this cycle of like if you go to bed and you know you're going to wake up and you already know that you're going to be up in the middle of the night because the baby's going to wake up, it causes anxiety. And you know, it's just like this horrible, like you can't get away from it because you're there goes that mom brain just always thinking, thinking, thinking,
Everything.
thinking.
And speaking about mom brain, another one is that moms come to you with the I forgot, I opened the fridge and I forgot what I was going to get. But really, she really wanted to get milk because the toddler was begging for milk.
Right.
It is that simple, but that quickly it was
It's gone.
gone.
Yeah.
And that's when our B12 is so low. We have this horrific brain fog and
Yeah.
mom brain. And that can really affect that.
And I think too, in another episode that I had with a woman who's a therapist, but not
Mhm.
a medical quote, a quote unquote medical professional,
Yeah.
she was talking about, look at me, maybe my B12 is low. I just lost it. Oh,
Depression, right?
what'd you say?
She was talking about depression, right?
She was
Did you?
talking about depression and anxiety and mom rage and I know. We were talking about, I said the thing that stuck out to me, and I have mentioned several times on this podcast that I have diagnosed myself with postpartum anxiety. But I think part of that was, and she had a big fancy word for it that I'm not going to be able to remember, and it's the process of becoming a mother. And I think
Mhm.
that that is also like matrescence. Are you familiar with that? It's
Doesn't
just
ring
like
a bell,
it's
but
like how your brain changes and you literally go from not being a mother to being a caretaker of this person. And I think, many nights, or not many nights, but when my son was like 6 months old, I would get in bed and I would just cry. And my husband was like, I don't know what's wrong. And I was like, you don't understand. And I think it was like my brain changing. And I was like, I have to think ahead all the time. If we're going to the store, I have to pack. And not that he's a wonderful husband, a wonderful
oh
partner,
no,
and
it's
that
none of that.
none of that.
Yeah.
It's just that literally like the biology of your brain. And I was like, I now think 7 months in advance. I can't walk away without telling somebody that I'm walking away from the baby. You can go from room to room. You get to go to work. And it was just this like maybe 3 or 6 month period. And it kind of came and went and whatever. And I was never depressed. It was never like I was able to do my thing. It was more just that like my whole life had
Same.
changed.
Yeah.
And I don't think, we talk about what do you not know about when you become a mother, that maybe it's better that you don't know until you learn. But it was that process of like, I am now responsible for another human life and what that entails. And I think that then crashes with the nutrients and, maybe
The hormone
your
shifts,
I mean, all of those things.
all of that.
It is a scene and a half.
Oh yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
funny you mentioned that it was about the 5 to 6 month mark. You said that happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the four hormone shifts that happen is within the first 2 weeks after
Hmm.
delivery, because the
Okay.
placenta is delivered. At the 4 to 6 month mark is another big hormone shift.
Okay.
8 to 10 month mark, and
Okay.
then if you are a breastfeeding mom, when you go to wean from breastfeeding.
Oh,
So if at any
interesting.
point, moms will have 3 to 4 hormone shifts after
Yeah.
delivery. And you
Yeah.
fell into that where your brain started telling you all these things because you were in such a depleted state.
Mhm.
You had a big hormone shift. Estrogen's moving, progesterone's moving, testosterone is adjusting. It's
Right.
supposed to do that. That's what our body's made to do, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that it isn't hard. And if we aren't set up for success by getting the right micronutrients in the very beginning during that first hormone shift when we lost the placenta, how are
Right.
we supposed to manage it now?
Right. And it's these huge things, and you're right, you're pulling from nothing and
Yeah.
you know. Um, and so you would again recommend to a mom if she is feeling this way to reach out to a provider. Are most like mainstream OBGYNs kind of aware of this now, or would it be a more specialized person?
I think it's more of a wellness health state still
Okay.
right now, where you
Okay.
see a lot of terms are coming through of functional medicine providers,
Okay.
integrative medicine providers.
Yes.
Unfortunately, because there is not a textbook conversation of this, there is plenty of books written about it. There's plenty of studies done about this.
Okay.
However, it's still not hit into more of the conventional medicine space. So I
Okay.
think if you're fortunate enough to be with a provider, an OBGYN that has interest in mixing the two, and there
Mhm.
are some in our area, that's
Okay.
great. But if not, there is at least functional integrative medicine nurse practitioners and physicians that do have this knowledge that can really work with you, but that does come with the out of cost out of
And
pocket.
you would look for a person who specializes in like maternal health or just women's health, or would there be specific like an integrate at the, I'm going to go see an integrative women's health specialist, or what would
That's
a
what I
person
would
be
say.
looking for? Okay.
Yeah, like women's health, postpartum, any type of one that a person that has knowledge of the woman's body in general and the shifts that
Okay.
happen, because
Okay.
hormone shifts are different from us than males. It's just that's
Right.
the facts. That's the way
Right.
science works.
Right.
We do know this. It's just separating the two and having knowledge. Somebody can't necessarily, you can have all that knowledge, but I would always recommend to go to a specialist
Hmm.
because they've given all this time to research and to
Right.
knowledge of this topic.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the way to go. And maybe even if your doctor doesn't know, they would know who to send you to. So it's worth the
Absolutely.
conversation, would you say? Like it's worth, like
Oh,
nobody's going to be against it. I mean,
no.
maybe
And
some people would be, but yeah.
I mean, I think that it's always great when moms say, well, what can I order, Brittany? What do I tell my OBGYN what to do? So I'll give them a list of these are the labs that I would highly recommend. This is what
Okay.
I worked with and had these labs drawn that really helped me.
Okay.
And then interpreting those. So that can be a really good starting place. It doesn't hurt to ask. What's the worst
Okay.
thing, right? We tell our
Right.
kids this all the time. Just ask mom. If I say no, why do I say no? Ask me why. Always
Right.
asking a why curious question is a much better way than just brushing it off and thinking this is normal or
Right.
getting frustrated and getting really mad.
And if
It's
that person tells you no, perhaps that's giving you a message about that person.
another very good point.
If that person is like, no, 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 you don't need to, you're like, maybe you're not the one for me, or, but I feel that all the doctors I have come across are there to help you. So if they can't, they're
Yeah,
willing to pass you along to somebody else. Um,
absolutely.
and so if we look at the whole person, which I feel like this is kind of moving towards in terms of medical and then also whole person and integrative,
Mhm.
what would you say is why is it important to look beyond just a single symptom? Like if there's something that's going on with a woman and maybe you say, I'll just live with it, or what would be important? Why would it be important to look into it? Or how long do you give it before you look into it? Maybe is the question, or
No, it's very good. So for me, I always say symptoms are whispers.
okay.
They're your body's way of saying something's off.
Hmm.
So in a lot of times in conventional medicine, you look for the disease answer, and the
Okay.
symptoms may lead you to that disease. But when you turn it around a little bit and you think this symptom, what could be the root cause of this symptom?
Hmm.
So it's turning it around and saying, so fatigue isn't typical. It is long standing. You are crashing every afternoon, you cannot survive without a nap, you cannot survive without coffee. Something is dysregulated. So it's what's the root cause of that? It's likely cortisol related. It could
Okay.
also be micronutrient related. And a big part, likely thyroid, because thyroid goes very much undiagnosed in a lot of conventional spaces.
Okay.
So
And
it's
that's a pretty easy blood test too, isn't it? Thyroid, like,
well, so there's six. or more thyroid tests that you can get.
Oh,
And a
okay.
lot of providers will only check one, which is
Okay.
the TSH. That's the
Okay.
messenger that tells your thyroid when to release hormones.
Okay.
That's great. We want to know. But if it's not greater than 4.5, no, most conventional providers will not move forward with any further assessment of what's going on.
Okay.
Occasionally, they'll assess the free T4 and the free T3, which are the two hormones that the thyroid releases. That's also helpful because we need the thyroid hormone to help our body have energy and a good metabolism and manage our mood.
Right.
But then further down, you want to know, is my thyroid feeling stressed? And that comes from another thyroid test called a reverse T3.
Okay.
And do I have any antibodies? Antibodies are a sign that my immune system is attacking my thyroid.
Hmm.
Nobody wants that.
Don't
That's
want
a
that, right?
situation.
Yeah.
But if it isn't checked, you can't confirm that you don't have it. Because
Interesting.
a lot of times, moms with those hormone shifts, there's
Yeah.
so many shifts with our thyroid coming from those hormone shifts that we end up seeing moms going into an autoimmune flare occasionally
Huh.
with the thyroid.
Okay. And yeah, you
So
would think if your doctor says I checked your thyroid, you're thinking, okay, there's probably one test. There are five other things to look at.
there's six total. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's like the very beginning of what does a thyroid look like.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways the micronutrients,
Hmm.
they support your thyroid.
Hmm.
So if you are managing those micronutrients, there's a very good chance that your thyroid will not take as much of a hit if those micronutrients are repleted. But if
Okay.
you're going through multiple back-to-back pregnancies,
Right.
pregnancy into perimenopause within less than a 10-year timeline,
Yeah.
your thyroid is going to be highly affected by that, and it
Okay.
deserves to be further managed. And that affects your metabolism, your mood, and your energy. So, like a lot of things that moms complain of,
Yeah.
thyroid plays a big part in that.
It's so interesting that you're saying this, not that this needs to turn into like the Kristen Weinrich show, but this summer I said to my husband, I'm like, I feel tired all the time. And now I'm like, maybe I will get in touch with my doctor and be like,
I
so can we look like I do? And I'm usually like
further
pretty high
investigated it.
energy, but I'm like, I
Yes.
just want to go lay down. And he's like, well, and so yeah, this conversation with you, though I have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, is making me think of a lot of things based on my own experience. And so I am hoping that other people who might be further away from postpartum, might be looking at it as well. It doesn't just mean because you have a newborn or whatever.
Oh, no, not at
And,
all.
and
But to your point, that undescribable, not like feeling of fatigue where you just can't keep going
I
on,
just
which
want
is
to
what
go lay in my bed. Can I conduct business from my bed? Like I'm happy to
that
do
is a
that.
huge that's a
Just
huge
want to lay
symptom, right?
down.
And that's a whisper. What else is going on? What's
Yeah.
underneath of this? Is cortisol dysregulated? Is my thyroid a little dysfunctional? Do I
Hmm.
have insulin resistance? Do I have any micronutrients that could be
Hmm.
supported a little bit more? There is
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
lot of bigger root cause answers we could find from just that
Okay.
little whisper of the fatigue change.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad we're having this conversation. And going back to, because I know when we had talked about doing this episode, I
Mhm.
had said to you that I had had a traumatic birth with my son. And again, I idolize my doctor. So if she happens to hear this, she knows this. She and like it
Yes.
was nothing. He was 9 pounds. He was sideways kind of and sunny side
Oh,
up. Like he was like a
oh
whole
my goodness.
scene. And he had to
Yeah.
be pulled out with forceps. And when they used the forceps pretty much, I think, to save all of our lives.
Yep. Yep.
I tore, and so there was a ton of bleeding. And I'm wondering, taking it away from me, but a person like I think I had 300 stitches or something. I even spoke to my doctor several weeks later, and I was like, there was a minute there when I was laying there, and I thought I was going to see myself floating above my body. And she was like, Kristen, uh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, when I'm like, you almost killed me, my son. I don't say it. My
Childbirth is
husband's like,
no
you can't.
joke.
He's like, you
Yeah.
can't tell our son that. I'm like, but I mean, truly, there was a chance that I could have
Mhm.
bled to death.
Absolutely.
Moving that away from not just me, but a person who has a birth like that too, I I guess we're starting from an even more depleted place than a person who
Absolutely.
has a quote unquote normal birth. So maybe. That's
And
another.
iron is incredibly hard. Ferritin specifically is incredibly hard to build up. And you probably lost we know you lost a
A
lot of blood.
lot.
We know
Yeah.
that you had a traumatic injury. We had a lot of inflammation because
Mhm.
inflammation is a big part. If we have a lot of inflammation in our body, we can't absorb vitamin D. Vitamin D is essential to managing our estrogen and progesterone. If
Right.
that's not managed, our mood is way off. Our body aches more.
Hmm.
It is that cascade effect. But
Hmm.
going back
Hmm.
to, yes, you probably had high inflammation, significant ferritin iron loss,
Yes.
and the ability to rebuild ferritin just by food alone is going to be very difficult. So it
Now,
is
what
worth
about I I back to me. I no, I had two blood transfusions like that
yeah,
night.
that's
Does
helpful.
that help or not
Oh yeah.
necessarily? It does.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. I didn't know if
Absolutely
you it kind of
helps.
has to be from your own body or that does replenish a little. Okay.
It does. Your body was given the ability to have iron through that blood. But
Okay.
then the question was, is your body going to absorb that iron
Right.
into the elevating the ferritin that causes a lot of symptoms as well?
Right. Right.
So that's where, yes, that is the conventional side of things. You would have died if they would have viewed four steps potentially.
Hmm.
You had a significant traumatic birth, but you were able to be corrected. There was so many important things that your OB did for you,
Oh,
and
for
you
sure.
both alive without a doubt. And
Yes.
then moving past that, yes, symptoms are going to come from this, and
Yeah.
it's kind of figuring out how can you manage all of that, emotions that happen, because there's going to be positives and negatives from that,
Hmm. Hmm.
and incorporating the knowledge of managing symptoms that you now have.
Right, right, right. Okay. This is so interesting to me. No, I'm
Yeah.
glad we had this little chat about me. I hope everyone listening is enjoying me learning about myself. No, but I
Oh,
think
and I was going to say there's a lot of micronutrients that are depleted through that, not just ferritin. But
yeah.
whenever you go through a stressful state, magnesium is the first micronutrient you lose. And we
Okay.
all think, oh, magnesium, like, can it be that big? But
Yeah.
they call it the mama mineral for a reason, because
Okay.
when you're stressed, you lose magnesium.
No
No
matter
matter
what, like pregnant, not
what.
pregnant, you lose it when
Yes.
you're stressed. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. And that is one of the biggest spark plugs. If low, then that is not going to help your thyroid, right? You need adequate
Right.
magnesium to manage your thyroid, to
Okay.
manage your cortisol level, to manage your blood sugar regulation. If you can't do that with not having the adequate magnesium that
Yeah.
you lost during that very stressful time,
Right.
everything else is going to be affected.
And could take 9.5 years to replenish.
Absolutely.
And look, I
Absolutely.
turned around and did it again 2 years later, and that was a completely different situation. She was out in boom, like 3 minutes. But
Yay.
you figure it still was, I'm probably still in some way. My body is probably still quote unquote recovering. Now he's trying to
Absolutely.
kill me in other ways because it's the
Yeah,
summer. It's like,
they
man.
for sure do that to you.
Death
Oh
by 1,000
man.
cuts, these kids, I'm telling you. Um, and so, talking about hormones, and I know that people kind of throw hormones around and, oh, my hormones, my hormones.
Yes.
Is it that simple? Like you were talking about all the shifts that happen. And then I know as we get older, our hormones shift again, right? Heading into perimenopause. And so, talk to
Yep.
us a little about hormones and shifting hormones and what, a person postpartum and after that might need.
It's I think a lot of times people say, I need to get my hormones checked, and that will
Mhm.
cure it all. If my estrogen's low, if my progesterone's low, if they're high, anything like that, that will be corrected.
Okay.
The biggest thing people need to realize is your hormones aren't root cause. What's
Okay.
root cause is that the micronutrients address your hormones.
Okay.
So during a hormone shift, up to 2 years postpartum, and if still breastfeeding, it would be farther past that, hormones are going to go up and down, up and down, up and
Okay.
down, because that's just what our body is made to do. But when people are like, well, I just need to get my hormones checked, they're not looking into the further aspect of things that are affecting it. So
And
yes,
if I can interrupt you for a minute,
yeah.
I did an episode with two OBGYNs in
Oh,
November, I think, where we talked about perimenopause, and they kind of said the same thing. They're like, people always want your hormones checked, but
yep,
like you could check them at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday and they'd be too high, and you check them 5 hours later and they're too low. And they're like, that doesn't, that social, they are saying that social media is saying, get your hormones checked. And they're like, it doesn't mean anything.
doesn't
Like,
mean it is
really?
so hard to interpret them there.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
They are even more knowledgeable on all of that, giving
Hmm.
all of their medical education and
Right.
that background. But I completely agree.
Yeah.
You're going to come to me and I would say, well, so you think your hormones are off? There's a very good chance that's absolutely the case. But if those are off, why wouldn't we try correcting with vitamin D? Why wouldn't we try
Right.
correcting with zinc? Why wouldn't we try correcting with magnesium and trying to balance things to then also balance our blood sugar, which also is hormone imbalances? There
Hmm.
are supplements that can really help with that. And then also from there, how can we balance our thyroid? Because our thyroid plays a huge role in managing
So
our
you're
hormones.
saying the hormones are like the last piece of the puzzle. There's so
Yep.
many, so much before it
So much
that
before
could be
it.
causing it. That if you fix
Absolutely.
that, quote unquote, fix that, you could
Mhm.
fix the hormone issues.
Absolutely. And that there's a big part, there's a big realm that once you're through the postnatal period, postpartum period, and then going into perimenopause and menopause, that
Yeah.
hormones do have a role. But you would know that best if you have your micronutrients addressed
Okay.
before you go into those different next chapters.
Okay. So check into everything before you go to the big, like small picture before the big picture.
Yeah, and who really wants to be on hormone replacement? I mean,
Right?
if I
Like,
could be on supplements and get, I mean, you can eat adequate amount of zinc. You can eat an adequate magnesium. Vitamin D is really hard, especially in Pennsylvania. We just don't have enough sunny days.
right. Plus, then you
Also,
got to put on your SPF and,
right? But even moms in California, the best way to absorb vitamin D is if your abdominal area or your upper thighs are exposed. And what mom wants
Right.
to be walking around in a
Right.
bikini? It just doesn't
Let
make
me
sense.
put on my tube top and go for a walk.
Yeah, and
My
I'm gonna
neighbors
go
will
lay
love that.
outside. What mom can vertically or can, excuse me, can horizontally parent? It doesn't happen
Right.
for many years. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, let me go lay in the backyard and get my vitamin
exactly.
D.
Yeah.
And
So that's one of the supplements that I always recommend that everyone should be on. You can get it through some salmon. You can get it through a couple of, like fortified milk if you drink milk or anything like
okay.
that. But
And
it's not
vitamin
a
D is good for your bones too, isn't it?
oh
Really
yeah.
good for your bone. Okay.
You would want to do vitamin D with K too, because having K present with your vitamin D helps with absorption of the vitamin D. So you aren't just taking in blanket vitamin D and
Okay.
it won't be absorbed.
Okay. Okay. Because my daughter had, like she goes to see an orthopedist just to kind of check all of her little muscles and everything. And the
Yeah.
orthopedist keeps trying to get rid of me. I love her. And she's like,
Oh,
you can't come back. She's fine. I'm like, no, I'm going to come back. But she had
yeah.
said to me, I was like, no, we're going to come next year. And she's like, oh my God, Kristin. But she had said to me last year, she's like, if you're worried about her keeping her bones strong, and she was like, you should be taking she should be taking vitamin D. I'm like, I didn't know that. She's like, actually, your whole fat. She's like, go buy vitamin D. You can all take it.
Do
And
it.
she was like, it's not going to hurt anybody. And I was like, oh, okay. So
Yes.
that
And
was,
I give it to all my children. I did say that my kids are likely going to be tall because of myself and my husband, but there's
right.
been a lot of studies that have come out that kids that do take in the adequate amount of vitamin D and vitamin K in the early adolescence
Yeah.
actually tend to grow taller.
Interesting. And is the K usually with the D? Like if you're taking a supplement that's like legit, I'll have to go check our bottle, but it usually has the K in it as well.
Yeah, D3 plus K2.
Okay. I'll have to look that
Hmm.
up, double
Yeah.
check.
It's just also the absorption. It doesn't mean your D3 is bad. It just will, you don't have to take as much of it, which is
Okay.
nice.
Gotcha. And it'll just help you absorb it.
Mhm.
And if your hormones, if you get everything checked and blah 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 blah, and it is in fact your hormones that are the issue, or if it is the issue before you fix other things, how does that affect your sleep and your nutrition and your stress? And like hormones do play a part in that. I mean, you look at
Oh,
a 13-year-old girl and you're like, oh, those hormones are affecting her for sure, or boy, and woo, so
oh yeah. I am worried about those middle school years.
well, fourth grade, it all kind of starts
Oh,
in fourth grade. Hmm.
already? My
Like,
oldest being going to second grade. I don't know if
hmm
I'm ready for that in
Yeah,
2 years.
get ready. Like April
Oh,
comes, we're like, oh, the hormones are starting. Here we go. Yeah.
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't know. That just made me sad for a moment thinking
We'll
about
walk you through it when
getting
you get
so
there. Don't
close.
worry.
I definitely am going to need help from somebody else because I love my little boys being little boys. I don't
Yeah.
know if
And
there's
it
going to be a
starts,
shift.
and you're like, here they come. They're rolling their eyes. They're a
Yeah.
little smelly after recess. They're crying a lot. It's just all of those are like, here it goes. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
So I guess it also
Um,
affects us when we're all the way through puberty too, still
yeah.
affecting us.
But the question was about hormones, right? And
Yeah,
how.
So if you do have a hormone issue, whether it's corrected with micronutrients or not, how can that contribute to, difficulties that you would have if your hormones were imbalanced?
Yeah. So hormone imbalance really affects cortisol regulation.
Okay.
And so when we talk about cortisol, I think a lot of people say, well, my cortisol level was fine. It was 9 or it was 12 because on Quest Diagnostic Labs or LabCorp, or whoever, like
Yeah.
anywhere like that you go get labs drawn, there is a reference range. And I think it's like 5 to 25. So that's really easy to meet that range.
Okay.
When our cortisol is dysregulated, there's a lot of symptoms that come involved. And when our
Okay.
cortisol is dysregulated, then our hormones most likely are also affected.
Got it.
So that's where the sleep comes in. So if a lot of dysregulated cortisol comes from when moms are complaining of being wired but tired,
Mm-hmm.
waking up in the middle of the night, sometime
Mm-hmm.
between maybe 2 and 4 a.m.
I
and
call
can't.
it having a party in my brain. I'm like, I
Yep.
was thinking, my husband's like, are you worried? I'm like, oh no, I was just like going through life, having a
Yeah.
party. Like I wasn't worried. I was just awake. Yeah.
Well, you want to be waking up in the morning where you have the biggest cortisol spike of the day. Then
Mm-hmm.
it should taper down very slowly without those big afternoon energy crashes that a lot of
Mm-hmm.
moms have when our hormones are dysregulated.
Okay.
Then you can be very low, get ready for bed, go to sleep. And then, as long as no environmental factors of the kids waking up, the animals waking up, thunderstorms coming through, you should sleep
Those of us who
off
get up in the middle of the night to use the
the
bathroom
bathroom.
because we had 9 pound
Then
babies. Yeah. Uh-huh.
exactly. You should be able to fall asleep. But when our cortisol is dysregulated and our hormones are dysregulated, we're going to wake up in the morning and we're going to be like, where's our energy? I slept all night, but I have
Mm-hmm.
no energy. All of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, maybe by the time lunchtime comes, you get a little bit of a spike. Then you
Okay.
have a pretty bad crash in the afternoon. And then we start to see sometimes moms have, I was a big one to this, was the like evening second wind. I could clean
Mm.
my house from 10 p.m. until 12
Oh
a.m. and
wow.
be fine. I'd
Yeah.
have all the energy in the world. And then I would crash and not wake up with any energy in the morning. And my husband's
Yeah.
like, because you go to bed early enough. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
But
I
you couldn't
could
fall
have gone to
asleep
bed.
probably,
No,
right? Yeah.
no, not at all. So that's where you need to start managing cortisol dysregulation. But it's not
Okay.
that easy, right? You can't just be like,
Of
all
course
right,
not.
cortisol, let's jump into and
Let's
get in the
regulate.
let's get in the line. So all of a sudden you're saying, oh, all right, well, what can I do? How do I manage that? Well, the biggest thing is that your nervous system is dialed up
Okay.
super high. And this
Okay.
is where moms feel they're stuck in fight or flight. The tiger is constantly chasing
Oh.
them. It's the
Okay.
feeling that you said earlier about you had to always think 7 months ahead, 7 steps ahead, 7 days
Mm-hmm.
ahead, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's that it's that fight or flight, being
Yes.
dialed up, constantly on the go,
Or like a
adrenaline.
constant, I call it like a constant hum in the back of my brain. Like I'm like, I just am always, even if I don't realize it, thinking about something or worried about something or, it's just
It
always
doesn't
there.
have to be the big feelings of I'm so anxious, I'm so depressed. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't have
no.
to be dramatic. It's that little hum of, all right, something's dialed up. I gotta
Yeah.
always think ahead. And then sometimes something will hit and you're like, why doesn't anybody else think of anything? Why do I have to think of this? And
Yeah.
that's where that unintentional rage and irritability comes towards your partner or towards your toddler or
Yeah.
anything like that. And that's all stemming back to cortisol being dysregulated.
Okay.
So you need to take the first steps is physically, how are you going to calm the nervous system?
Hmm.
Finding there's this amazing book called The Atomic Habits. I love it.
Okay.
It is all about stackable
You
habits.
have to tell me the author of that. I'll put it in the show notes. So if
Oh,
anybody wants to read it, they
absolutely.
can. We'll talk about that
Absolutely.
later. Yeah. And what's it
It's
called? The Atomic Habits?
Mhm.
Okay.
And you start small, intentional, consistent habits daily. So
Okay.
even if it's for 2 minutes a day, you're going to say, Brittany, there's nothing worth doing for 2 minutes a day. But that, to the contrary, consistency, your body will recognize it and it'll keep seeing it and it'll keep
Oh,
saying, you do the same thing every day. Doesn't have to be the same time, but every day I can expect this. This
okay.
makes my nervous system feel better. Every
Oh,
day I can expect. So for 2 weeks, all you do is walk from your front door to the corner where your stop sign is and back. It's a
okay.
4 minute round trip, but your body knows to expect it. It
Hmm.
knows that it brings calm. It knows that it helps your nervous system. And slowly you
Oh,
see that nervous system dialing down.
okay.
And that is
That's
what's so
interesting.
important to then managing your cortisol because your cortisol
Right.
is on fight or flight. We need to calm the nervous system to bring the cortisol down.
Okay. And I feel like
And
there's so much again with like mental health
mhm,
and mindfulness and all of these things that those are becoming, routine for a lot of people, taking the walk or doing the whatever.
preventative medicine.
Hmm.
That's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
Preventative. If you take 3 minutes a day to do guided breath and tell your nervous system, I'm calming down. This is what calm feels like. You are preventing an elevated cortisol level that then spawns into an extensive amount of stress that then affects your thyroid. And
Yeah.
it's a cascade effect. So
Wow.
it's starting at the root cause
Yeah.
and managing the nervous system and then working with it, bringing down your cortisol. The big thing is your cortisol comes from these cute little adrenal glands that sit on top of your kidneys, these
Yeah.
cute glands. But
Adorable.
they're so cute. They're these little triangles and they're really not talked about, but they're so impactful. So vitamin C is super important to adrenal glands to
Okay.
maintain adequate help to the cortisol. But
Okay.
if you're stressed, stress loves to eat vitamin C first.
Okay.
I always joke that in like Christmas time, why does that? I know that Florida makes the best oranges and around Christmas time and everyone
Right.
gifts them, but I
Right.
swear that there's like a reason that that's just the way it works
You feel
because
like you just
we're
need
all
it.
gifted vitamin C
Right.
around Christmas time.
Have an orange and calm down just a little bit. Calm
Yeah.
down.
So if your stress is eating up all your vitamin C, your adrenals have nothing to work off of. So then your adrenals decide to go dormant and they stop being able to spike your cortisol.
Okay.
And if you can't spike your cortisol, you can't regulate your cortisol, you can't calm down your nervous system.
This is fascinating. Like,
It's
it's
fascinating.
fascinating. But really, what I'm taking from it is our children are really the root cause of all of our problems.
Yeah, yes,
It is their fault,
yes,
actually.
yeah.
It
Well,
all
I make
starts
an
with that
adrenal,
placenta.
yeah, I make an adrenal cocktail for our whole family every
Okay.
week. And it's a pitcher of equal parts orange juice or high dose vitamin C juice. I
Okay.
love, am I allowed to say Trader Joe's limeade? It's like my
Sure.
favorite. So the
Okay.
two of them, one or the other, whichever the kids want that week, a
Yeah.
whole equal parts coconut water, because that's very
Okay.
good for electrolytes, and
Yes.
then a very hefty pinch of like the real mineral salt.
Oh,
And
okay.
then we drink that. When my kids are a little dysregulated, everyone needs a little vitamin
Oh,
C. We
just
need
a
to
little
help those
something.
adrenal glands.
Okay.
Mhm.
Ah, I like that too.
If they ever watch this, they're going to know that there was ulterior motive behind
They'll be
mommy's
like,
fun juice
Mommy's
at dinner.
juice.
Yeah,
We got this special juice. It just
yeah.
calm us the
I'm like, who
heck
wants
down.
mommy's fun juice? I add sometimes I add seltzer water. I know you're supposed to only do seltzer water to protect your teeth during meals, so I always serve it during meals. But like, whatever, so fun. Like,
Whatever, kids, just to have a little sip. It's fine, you know?
yeah,
So we have good
full
dental care. It's
regulation.
fine. It's
We
fine.
all need to regulate.
But don't we? I mean, don't we? My gosh.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. A couple more questions for you.
Yes.
Why is stress, going back to having a baby, and I think I know what you're going to say, but why is stress so powerful after you have a baby? And is it going to be because we're all depleted and then we're
We're all
pulling from
depleted.
nothing? Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it makes
Well,
complete sense.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Stress starts so much of this. I mean, it we want to feel safe and secure. And so
Hmm.
if we're stressed, we're not going to feel that safe and secure. That the beginning parts is always our cortisol level
Okay.
because stress is going to affect our cortisol. And then
Okay.
and then in order to calm that down, we want to start managing our cortisol. So, yeah, I mean, whenever eh, our body is going to feel stressed whenever it doesn't have enough micronutrients, whenever it doesn't have enough, like when our gut's inflamed and we can't
Mm,
absorb all this food. If there's general systemic inflammation, our
okay.
belly feels a little bit more bloated. All of that sparks into our stress levels being higher because our body is saying something's not right.
Yeah.
So not only do you feel stressed because you're managing a newborn and trying to calculate how many times they had a wet diaper or they
Yes.
were fed or were they burped or did they sleep enough or are they sitting right in the car seat? I mean, there's a
A
slew of
million
things.
things. Am I going to drop them down the staircase when I'm walking down the staircase? We all had that one, didn't we? We had
There's
that thought.
intrusive thought that comes from our low zinc levels. I mean, there
Yes.
are very real reasons that we feel this way that we can correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Huh.
the amazing part. And it's so nice. I'm sad that I didn't know about it earlier. I'm sad that I'm not learning this from somebody that's been doing it for decades, but I'm
Right.
grateful that I can teach it now, and I can be part of this change now. And
Right.
my daughters hopefully won't experience any part of this,
Right,
even
because
when they're
and by the
old.
time they're older,
Yeah,
maybe it'll be kind of unital knowledge and people will just
exactly.
know, they gotta
We
get
got
on
there.
there.
And you can start by taking the right prenatal. You can start by knowing the right foods to eat after delivery because a lot of
Mhm.
foods are micronutrient dense. Zinc is found in pumpkin seeds.
Okay.
Magnesium is
Not the
found in
Wawa
pumpkin seeds.
hoagie that I wanted for 9 months.
Yes. Well, you have the hoagie. You also
Wasn't
have
as
to be
good
that
as I
80
was
20
like
balance.
waiting, not as good as I was waiting for it to be. I was like, oh, okay.
My OB was so old school. Maybe it's, I don't know if that's rude of me to say about him, but he said, Brittany, if you want a hoagie, you eat it from somewhere that's constantly serving hoagies because
Like,
they never have lunch meat sitting around. Don't trust the 7-Eleven. Eat the
fresh.
Wawa hoagie.
Right? I mean, they're going to be fresh all the
Yeah,
time.
exactly. The bad bacteria grows because the lunch meat sits there, not because it's packaged. It was packaged fine.
Oh,
And if they're
interesting.
going through the turkey every day,
Yeah,
it makes sense.
got to
It's
be
only
fresh.
open once. It doesn't sit around. It's less than 24 hours open, all
Yeah.
those things. So
So.
I ate a lot of hoagies.
Yeah, well, I had a friend who was like, the only thing I ate was turkey, and she was like, everything else turned my stomach. And the nurse was like, then eat turkey. Like, eat a turkey sandwich every
Yeah.
day. If that's what you're gonna eat, just eat it. And she was like, so that's
Yeah.
what I ate. I'm like, your kids
Shout
turned
out to,
out fine.
yeah, Capriati's. Every dime I got a good blood pressure report and my stress tests were fine and I passed them. I went and got a Capriati's
Go get a
sandwich.
hoagie. Okay, shout out to them. They made your kids, right?
Every single one of them was made on
Made
capastrami.
on, okay, fair enough. That's good. Now to sort of wrap this up,
Yes.
and we a little bit talked about this, but so we kind of know the root causes, or we know how to find the root causes now. And I think you maybe touched a tiny bit on this, but at what point or how long do you, as a new mom who's also overwhelmed by everything else, or maybe let's say a support person or a friend or whatever, how long do you let a mom go through some of these things? Like I know, the crying is normal and the baby blues, and I always laugh that like I would say to my husband, I didn't cry today. And he's like, that's great. And I'd be like, but I'm just gonna cry now. And he's like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. And then I felt better. I'm like, and that lasted maybe 2 or 3 weeks. It was kind of
Yeah.
funny. I was like, I just have to do it. And I knew that everything was okay, inside of me. But at what point does a friend or a spouse or yourself do you say, this feels more than what's normal, and I think it's time to talk to somebody about it? And is
It's
it before that 6 week checkup, or is it, I
absolutely.
mean,
Sometimes it's going to be before that 6 week. I think that we're fortunate that a lot of people in our area do have access to healthcare to be seen at that 6 week visit.
hmm
But if you are seeing that the crying may almost be that it can't stop within a few minutes, that maybe it's once an hour, but then we notice that it is consistent, it doesn't stop, it's
hmm
always persistent, and we see it weeks and weeks on end. I would say within 2 weeks period, if there has been a consistent crying
hmm
every hour, every couple hours, I would at least talk to someone because
yeah,
there needs to be a way to regulate those emotions, and
right,
that regulation isn't coming from the food that she's eating at that point. It's
right,
just not working.
right,
It's not coming from the support emotionally that she probably thankfully has.
yeah,
It's more than that. It's something internal. And that will then help conventional medicine figure out, is this something that needs treated, that is severe, that
yeah,
needs some form of prescription to get through this?
right.
Or is there ability to alter some of the food that we're taking in and start some supplements to then regulate those emotions?
Okay, so you're saying if it's consistent for 2 weeks
I
or so,
think that yeah,
yeah,
or to the point where the mom's like, I can't do this
can't
anymore.
function, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and before it
I
gets to that
mean,
scary point.
if you're up all night and you're up 24 hours multiple times a week because the baby is not sleeping, because you can't sleep, because your cortisol is all dysregulated, there probably comes a time that you need to be seen even sooner.
Right, right. Just to check in with everything.
Yeah.
And it really is. I say all the time, I'm like, it's amazing that the human race goes on, isn't it?
I
Like truly. I'm like,
Everybody says, why did you keep having kids? And I was like, I forgot. And
Generation after generation, we just keep doing it
yeah.
to ourselves.
My husband consistently says if it was up to me and most likely any other male,
Yeah.
I don't think that there would be a race anymore
Mm.
or any type of
Then
yeah.
they'd have to have a lot of good birth control because
Right. I know. Well, well,
yeah.
that's true too. He's like, maybe everybody would do it once and there'd just be a lot of
Just have
families
like a
of
one child rule. There you
one
go.
child
There you go.
families everywhere.
Well, my mom has a friend who, is her age, so her kids are my age, 20. No, I'm just kidding, but her kids are in
Yes.
their 30s or 40s. And my grandma had said to this friend of my mom's when she was pregnant, she's like, "Oh, you forget. Like you don't worry about being in labor. You forget and it's all wonderful." And her son would be 15, 20, 25, and she would see my grandma and she'd be like, "Mrs. Kerper, I haven't forgotten yet." And she's like, "Well, you had another one, so I guess it wasn't that bad." And you're like, "Yeah, but I think we do. Like, I don't feel
I
like
did.
I just keep doing it. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, look at me. My first one, I almost died and turned around and had another one. So,
I had 4 C-sections and I still just kept walking back into the OR,
just
getting
keep
my
doing it." You're
C-section.
like,
Well, why
because,
not just keep you doing that?
it's because they're just so cute when they're not like driving you crazy. They're so stinking cute that you're like, "Oh, it's okay. Let me have another squishy baby." And yeah, and
Yeah.
then we just keep doing it. So I
Yeah.
guess it's our own faults, right? But
Right?
thank you so much. I mean, I keep saying it, this is fascinating to me. So I think that it'll be helpful to a lot of new moms, a lot of expecting moms, but a lot of moms, kind of in my place where with
Yep.
kids under 10, if we're still all postpartum, can I
Absolutely.
use that as an excuse? Ooh, I'm postpartum. Oh, I
I
can't. I'm
mean,
postpartum.
in reality, yes. And
My
then
fourth
it's
grader
coming.
still recovering.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. This is something that gives me such joy to talk about because
Yeah.
I've seen the investment of correcting these things for myself, and
Mhm.
I've helped some moms along the way and some very
Yeah.
good friends along the way. So I just want to keep getting the information out there and
Yeah. And
educating.
you're seeing the results, and I'm sure that is egging you on to continue because you're like, no, it's real, like it's a real thing. It's just not well known. But, in 50 years, we'll say, oh, you didn't know about micronutrients when you were having your children? I can't believe my grandma had children and didn't know. We'll be like, we didn't know. We didn't know.
Yeah,
It's
I
all
know.
you, the pioneer.
I mean, I would happily do this because it's my friends come to me still and they talk to me about all these things. They always say, Brittany, you were the one that got me through those immediate moments.
Yeah.
And it it isn't just because of managing, it's just the listening, the knowledge, the soft tone. And I do put that back to me being able to manage and learning how to manage chronically ill patients through heart failure,
Right.
managing my palliative care patients, managing patients going through hospice care. I do attribute my ability to listen, sit there, embrace the awkward, calm, like quiet moments,
Hmm.
allowing for that space. And
Yeah.
moms need that too. And I'm sure a lot of the other people that have been on the podcast talking about moms and anxiety and postpartum depression and things like that, they just need a space to be listened. And then
Yeah.
on top of that, and be heard, I guess is the better way to say it. But on
Yeah.
top of that is how else can we help? And there's more that we can help with.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like you've got like that, like you said, like you have the gentle touch because of all the stages of life that you have dealt with. And, I used to be like, when somebody would cry, I'd be like, oh, I don't know what to do. And then once I had a baby, I was like, I cry all the time
Yeah.
just because of that. It's like this special mom club. I feel like when you talk to a mom, you're like, hey, and everybody's like, yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, and it's not. I mean, what wouldn't a mom tell another mom? What do you want to know? I'll tell you anything
I'll
you want to
tell
know.
you. I
I had
think that's
300
it.
stitches inside. What else
Yes.
do you want to know
What else
about
do
me,
you
people
want?
listening? Like,
I'll tell you all
because
about all my journeys.
all the things,
Absolutely.
because you're like, what's the point of not? If it makes somebody feel better, or if it makes somebody realize something about themselves, or if they're like, oh, I'm not the only one, why wouldn't we share it? Like, why not? So
Be
thank you
seen and
for sharing.
heard is important.
For sure. And even if you get nowhere, if you just say to a friend, hey, can we talk for a minute? And not that I have any kind of anything, but I know some young teachers or, yeah, kids who are now women who are having babies. And
Yes.
I'll text them and I'm like, hey, I know you have your mom and you have your friends. And I'm like, but this is, being a mom is a special kind of club. And if you ever need somebody to talk to or you want to reach out or you're having a bad day, like you can always text me because nothing you're going to say is going to sound weird. Nobody's going to judge you. Like if you've had a child, I feel like you're like, yep, get that.
Yep.
Been there.
Yep.
You
Yep.
just you get it. So, um
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing this. I think hopefully it will be really helpful for a lot of people, and even just the aware, even if you're listening in Arkansas, just the awareness of knowing that it's a thing, and maybe,
Mhm.
people can look into it in their area, or I don't know, bring it to their area, something.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, let's do a couple quick fun ones
Oh
before
yeah,
we
I love
before we
these.
sign off. Okay. So one thing we did not mention about you in your introduction is that you are quite the baker.
Yeah.
I have Brittany to thank for a scone recipe that I make that hasn't doesn't have butter in it because I used to shave my butter with a cheese grater.
Uh,
And she's like, "Oh, no, 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 no. Well, I have a recipe for you."
yeah.
And the sourdough starter that I talk about on Dophilia
Ophelia.
that I talk about on the podcast from time to time came from Brittany because we were talking about the scones and she was like, "Do you do sourdough?" And I was like, "Oh, no, but it's on my New Year's resolution." So
Yes.
into my classroom came her son. He's like, "This is
Mhm.
from my mom." I'm like, "It's a starter."
Oh, he
So
was so proud. He's like, I got to go somewhere else. And I
I
was like,
mean, he went all the way up to fourth grade. It's big
oh, he was
business
so
up there.
excited. He was
And
so
with a glass
excited.
jar, didn't drop it or anything. So
I mean,
I mean, that's a win in and of itself. So tell us, what is I know your dad was a big cook, baker,
yes.
and kind of got you
Mhm.
started. What is your very favorite thing to bake?
I would say chocolate chip cookies.
Okay. Do you have your,
Everybody loves them. They're so homey. They make you feel happy inside. It's like an eating a hug. And
yeah, yeah.
everybody loves a good chocolate chip cookie.
Do you have your own? I know everybody's very like specific about their recipe. Do you have one that you have almost like tweaked to be yours, or do
Oh
you
yeah.
have one that you use, or?
Oh, absolutely. And the big secret is you have to add cornstarch because it gets it just a little bit
Oh,
chewy, but
oh.
also very soft and fluffy.
How
So
much? Or are we
very
not telling?
mild
Are you
amount.
telling or not telling how much corn?
Oh yeah, I don't know the recipe off the top of my head, but I could definitely give it to you to put in
Oh,
the
that's so
notes.
fun.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
All
I
right.
love my chocolate chip cookie recipe, and of
Okay.
course sourdough because you can do so much with it.
I was
So
gonna
I
say.
really blossomed into baking that.
Although I do have to say, when we make it, I do a little bit curse you because I'm like, we can take down 2 loaves of sourdough
Oh,
in a day and a
easy.
half. My family,
Yeah,
I'm like, I have to. My husband's like, can you not make it now for like 3 or 4 weeks? I'm like, I know, right? It's so good.
so
Oh my
good.
gosh,
It is,
it's so
but
usually
it's
when I
good for your
make
gut.
one. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What'd you say?
It's good for your gut. So
Right? I'm
there's
like, no,
good
there's
reason
something good
for it.
about this. It's fine that I'm eating it.
Yeah.
He's like, how about the butter we're slathering on it? I'm like, That's fine too. It's dairy.
Everybody needs, yeah.
But
I
it
tend to
needs
drizzle
something.
olive oil to
Oh,
feel better about my omega 3s and
yes.
to help with
Okay.
inflammation. So I do olive oil and like thick salt
Makes it
instead of
healthy.
butter.
Well, what I do now is I will make a loaf for us, and then I have in mind a person who is getting the second loaf. So I'm like, all we have is
Perfect.
one, and then we're giving one away because I'm telling you,
You
geez.
can freeze it. You can freeze it, and it's
I know,
very good
but it's
frozen.
there and it smells good and it's warm, and I'm like, just get it out of my face. I love making it. Now get it out of my house, or I'm gonna take it down. So, so thank you for that.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
and the scone recipe also delicious.
Absolutely.
What is your favorite? I know high protein is a big thing right now. Do you have a favorite high protein breakfast?
Ooh, I like to make a high protein oatmeal.
Okay.
I like a plant-based protein that I can put in there, a little
Okay.
bit of chia seeds to help with zinc and
Mm.
magnesium.
Hmm.
And also pumpkin seeds I add in there, some walnuts. My kids, if they put sprinkles on it, they'll eat the whole thing, which
Oh,
makes me
okay.
happy.
That's great.
Um, or I do a chia seed pudding. I love chia seed puddings.
Okay. I think I need to try one of those because people talk about them all the time. And the one I like
Hmm.
made like 10 years ago was not something I would
Mm.
talk about. So
Oh,
maybe I need to. But there's a woman I follow. She was on the podcast in the winter, Rachel Farnsworth. She's the stay-at-home chef. And she just
yes.
did a reel today about her chia seed cottage cheese pudding. And I was like, maybe I have to try that. 'Cause
Mm.
she was like, we have it for breakfast every day. I was like, all right,
Every day.
I got to go
I
back to
get
that.
those big containers of yogurt, one plain, one vanilla. I do halvesies on them so that it
Okay.
adds a little bit of flavor.
Yeah.
Add the chia seeds, and then for extra fiber, when the issue with raspberries and shredded lettuce is gone, I normally add a
Yes.
whole pint of raspberries as well.
Okay. And then just mix it all together.
And then
Or
just
do
let
you
it sit and eat it throughout the week.
Okay, I'm gonna try
It
it.
is
Maybe
so
my
good.
children would eat it. Maybe, maybe not.
Oh,
If it's
definitely.
not an Eggo waffle, it's really, really kind of a toss up whether we're gonna have it or not. I'm like, anybody
Whole
want
Foods,
anything else? No.
yeah. Whole
Okay.
Foods has a really good protein Eggo style waffle that I give
Okay,
to my
maybe we'll have to
kids.
try that
You can
rather
try
than
that.
just that. Yeah. What is okay, if you I always like this question. If you could get rid of any genre of music, what would it be?
Ooh, ooh, probably the genre like Linkin Park. I just was never really into them.
Okay, you're 4 for 4. Every person I ask is like the music. I'm like, that's why I like to keep asking. Everybody says
Yeah,
it. They're like the
yeah,
screaming music.
it's just not for me. My
No,
kids have like stumbled upon like a kids version. I'm like, oh,
no. It's
but
not really
I
easy
went from
listening. Yeah,
no, it's
no.
like going on while I'm trying to make dinner, and this just is not working.
No, I feel like that's the one I would get rid of too. I'm like, it's just screaming. It's just
Well,
it's screaming.
to the point of that, to calm your nervous system, you can
Yes.
listen to bilateral music stimulation. There's multiple
Oh,
channels all
okay.
across different genres.
Okay.
And the way that the music goes between your ears can actually calm your nervous system. So I tend to put on a bilateral music stimulation station during dinner time because that's the witching hour. And everyone
Oh.
hears more calming music. But you can pick different genres. It can be like country related, it can be just classical music, you could be Disney related, but it
So you
has
just search that in like Amazon Music,
bilateral
bilateral.
music stimulation.
Huh.
Yeah.
Is Taylor part of that?
Oh, I'm sure
I mean,
they
she's
have
kind
one.
of her own genre of calm, I feel. You just
Well,
turn
and
her
it's
on.
not words. You'll never hear words. It's just the beat behind. And the
So
way that
interesting.
it filters it can really help to calm the nervous system,
Huh.
especially when the kids come home
I
from
feel like a
school.
brand new person here after talking to you for an hour and 15 minutes. I'm
Yay!
so well educated. Do you have, along with your 5 children, and do you have any pets to add into the mix?
We do. We have a little dog named, not little, what am I saying? 85-pound golden doodle named Declan.
Okay, how old is he? Is he the oldest child or?
Oh, he falls in. So one boy, Declan,
Okay.
girl, twins. So
Okay.
he is 4.
Okay, so you just thought,
Just
let's
turned
just
4.
throw that in there too. Let's
Well,
just
we
get a
got
puppy.
him before I found out I was pregnant with my third.
Okay.
So
Just
yeah,
there he is. And now
there
he's
he
just,
is.
he just
Yeah,
fits in there now, so it's
I
okay.
surprised my husband for Father's Day with the puppy.
And
Normally
then a
it's
baby.
and then a baby. Then a week,
We're gonna
yeah.
have a
Then a month
puppy.
later, I was like,
Now we're
oh,
gonna
I'm
have a baby.
pregnant.
What do you want, a baby or a puppy? We're
Yeah, oh, we got both.
gonna have both. Do you have a biggest fear?
Biggest fear, something super silly. I cannot stand ivy climbing on walls. Like you'll never see ivy climbing on my wall, like
Oh,
my house. It seems so invasive when you see it
okay.
coming in through the windows. And I just have these intrusive thoughts of the ivy coming around me.
No way.
Yeah,
So
so
no
silly.
Princeton for your children because there's
No,
Ivy. No Harvard, no Ivies. Maybe we
that
get
would be
over
a hard sell. I would have to take a lot of zinc to calm those
it.
intrusive
And
thoughts.
why didn't you go to the Ivy Leagues? Well, my mom's
Yeah,
afraid of
my
Ivy.
mom's afraid of ivy.
I'm sorry, what? My mom has this thing. What
Oh,
is
sure.
on the top of your bucket list?
I want to travel the world with my children now. My husband and I
Love
did
it.
a wonderful job prior to children traveling a lot of very unique places. And
Okay,
I don't necessarily have to take them all back to the same places, but I really want to open up their minds and just take them all sorts of really cool places.
love it. What's your number one place to take them?
I think I'm going to start out by taking them to probably Switzerland. They have the most beautiful parks.
Oh,
They're really cool hiking trails,
okay.
built-in parks through the hiking trails, so they can see the Alps. They can
Oh, yeah.
experience just nature in its true raw form. I think
And
that would be really fun.
what age are you saying the twins have to be before we're doing that?
I was thinking 3 or older.
Ooh, you're adventurous.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
a little adventurous.
Yeah, with 5 kids.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about my travel anxiety sometime.
Yes,
I'm good. I'm getting better.
absolutely.
I'm getting better. But a 3-year-old in
Maybe,
Swiss Alps,
yeah,
nope.
as long as they're out of diapers, I think I'll feel good.
Yeah, my sister's rule was always out of diapers and no stroller. And she just took her 10-year, her almost 10 and almost 12-year-old to Disney World. She's like, should have taken the stroller. I'm like, stop it. She's like, and I think everybody was up in the middle of the night. She's like, but they were potty trained, so there's that. I'm like, there you go. There you
I love
go.
her.
And last question for you. What do you think the worst job is out there possible?
Worst job. Oh, I guess it's gonna be smells really get me. I like quickly gag and hypersalivalate. That's not even a word, but I have a lot of
I know
saliva
what
that
you
comes when I smell something so terrible. So I would have to say it would have to be something to do with trash.
Okay. I was gonna say trash truck dry, like
Yeah.
trash
When I
guy in
see it
like
drive
July.
by, I
Hmm.
just think I am so grateful for them because I cannot do this job. I
Yeah.
wave to them, I try to give them things because they don't even know that I have this thing about smells, but
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for them. I
And
always
and
tell
even
them,
like when I put the trash bag like in the trash can, I like
oh,
turn my
mm-mm.
head away
Yep,
and throw it in and run away. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yes, I agree. Thank you.
I'm a
Thankful for
frequent,
the trash people. All right.
yeah,
Well, on that note, Brittany, thank you so much for talking to us about the postpartum period and knowing that it's not just for caring for a newborn, it's up until 10 years, which that is
absolutely.
news to me. And caring for the woman who brought the baby into the world.
Mhm.
And as we know, that pregnancy changes every system in the body, and recovery deserves time, attention, and compassion. And while every woman's experience is different, feeling persistently unwell shouldn't simply be dismissed as part of motherhood, which I think is an important point that you made for people.
Yes.
Like we don't have to live like this, right? We
No,
don't
this is
have
not
to.
normal. Let's
Yeah.
talk about what can be
You don't
normal.
have to suffer through it.
No.
By listening to our bodies, seeking appropriate medical evaluation when needed, and supporting recovery with nutrition, movement, sleep, stress management, and individualized care, more women can move beyond surviving and beginning to thrive. So thank you. Thanks for being here and sharing all this information with us. And if this episode resonated with you, please be sure to share it with a friend who might also benefit from hearing it. Also, be sure to follow the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to. So it's going to be a plus or a subscribe or a follow. It's really important for people to hit that button because that helps the podcast grow. And of course, you can follow me at Mom's Work on Facebook, Instagram, and now YouTube. Exciting.
Ooh,
So, Brittany, thank you so much. This was
you're
wonderful.
so welcome.
Loved
This is
this.
awesome.
Thanks.